runners, let's talk about how do I practice running or stay in my running shape if I cannot get out to run and I don't have indoor equipment. So I work with this all the time, by the way, with RunRx runners, because we do group Zoom classes, and I always say to people, all you need to practice running is a really small space and just a willingness to kind of feel and be open to learning. And honestly, it's a lot better to practice running or work on your running when you're not running. So I'm really lucky. I have a home gym, I've got a treadmill, I've got all kinds of stuff. When I teach though, and when I do my Zooms, we do nothing. Like, we don't use anything. And so I want to just show you a little bit of why I do that and how you can do that also. Let's start over. Okay. Okay. Hey runners! So it's a very rare time in Texas, and we are iced in or snowed in, really iced in. Very rare. I mean, it's like I can pretty much run outside every single day, except on the rare occasions that we get a little bit of ice or snow. And it's fun because I coach online, so a lot of my runners are all over, and they have to run in all kinds of conditions, snow, ice, rain, you name it. And so what's fun is, as a community and as a runner, what do I do if I cannot get outside and I don't have an indoor option? So like, I'm lucky I have a treadmill. I'm sure a lot of people have treadmills, which is great. They really come in handy. But one of the things that's really been great for RunRx in our community is I teach Zoom classes online, and I always say to people, all you need is you to practice the run. And it's like once a week I do this, and we go for an hour. So I promise I'm not going to have you go for an hour, but I just want to give you a little bit of like, what could I do to work on my running when I can't get out? And this is, it's a lot of fun to practice running when you're not running. Because when you're out running, you're running. So your thoughts are going to be on how far you're going, the actual temperature outside, the distance, all of the things that actually go with running. So it's a real challenge to try to work on running, in a sense, while you're running. So I'm just going to give you a few things that I like to do, and hopefully it'll help you have some ideas of things to do. By the way, on our free app, and of course on the YouTube channel, we have the RunRx Reboot, and we have all kinds of workouts. So, I mean, you can actually go on there and follow them. This is just a very basic way to show you that if I can't get out, now this isn't going to take place of a run. This is important. This isn't like a cardio workout. It's more the idea that I can still work on my running and work on my performance so that when I get back out to run, I'm still feeling good for my run. The good news though is that we do have RunRx bodyweight workouts that you can get your heart rate up with. So I encourage you to try those. All right, so I'm just going to start with the first step in learning to run is learning the running pose and the position, the optimal position that you want to be in for your run. So now I will say this, if you struggle with balance, a wall is a great idea. So I say you don't really need anything. I'll be honest though, if you need balance, use a wall. But the reality is, the more you practice your balance when you're not running, the more balance you'll have when you are running. So what I do a lot in my running classes on the Zooms is I start with the running pose. And one of the things that's really interesting, I'm going to give you 4 checkpoints to just try this with me. So if you stand up, first wiggle your toes. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your toes. Notice I wiggle my fingers too. Check that your knees are nice and relaxed. This is really important because when you go to practice balance, especially if you do things like yoga or single leg strength work, in the weight room, many times that support leg is locked. And that's for stability and for balance, right? So a lot of times people will just automatically extend this knee to lock it. So I want to talk a lot about that because this is a big part of running. That knee has to stay bent. And it's really a challenge to ask your knee to stay bent while you're running. Instead, you're going to ask it to relax and be free when you're standing and when you're practicing your running. Because again, this is all communication. So when I run, my body weight's on my feet. So it's important. Where are my feet? They're underneath me. Can I feel my feet? Yes. And this is why I do the wiggling of the toes. And if you really get into it, I do a lot of ankle mobility work as well. But just to get started for right now, make sure you can wiggle your toes. Make sure your knees are free. This is important. Because a lot of times when you think about bending your knees, people think about doing like a squat and they'll bend, but they'll make themselves shorter. So I'm gonna ask you to bend your knees, but maintain your height. So this is important because if you bend your knees, watch the first, I'll put my hands here on my shoulders, and 99% of the time when you bend your knees, watch. See, I just got shorter. So what I wanna do is bend my knees, maintain my height, right? So what does that mean? Notice that if you just do your knees like this, if you just kind of let your knees be soft, it doesn't affect your height at all, right? So that's important because I can have my knees bent and still maintain my height. Very important, because what I need you to feel is that if the torso travels down, then you're actually applying body weight to the thigh and the knee. So we want to avoid that. Remember, my knees are free, body weight's on the ball of my foot, and I want to maintain my height. So just standing here with your body weight on the balls of your feet, toes free, knees free, and lifting your torso is actually a lot of work, because all of your postural muscles are having to work to keep your height. And this is important because this is the hardest part of running. Honestly, holding your torso lifted is the strength part of the run, because this is what gets fatigued. So many times the runners will either lean forward this way and then they feel things in their lower back, or they come back this way, shoulders back, and then they start to feel things in their hip or the front of their leg. So many times what's happening down below, and I call this the teeter-totter, which goes well with last week we talked about falling, how you have to fall as a unit. So that's kind of the next thing to think about. So I said I got to bend my knees and maintain my height, just standing here. That's the first step. And then to feel, if I had a line going through my head and I just rock back and forth, the whole line stays connected, rather than thinking that as you fall forward, it's just your head and shoulders, right? So if I think that's correct, my hips actually went back. So this is the first thing, is to just realize my knees are nice and bent and I'm holding my height, holding my torso lifted, and I am able to rock back and forth and hold my line. And this is important because this is called your fall line, and it's your ear, shoulder, hip. Ear, shoulder, hip. This line here has to stay the same the whole run. And that's important. It's like you have two circles. You've got your hip to your head, and then you've got your head to your feet. So what actually happens when your knees are bent and you lift your torso is your torso actually starts to travel slightly. Your feet are a little bit behind you. That's what you want for your run, because what happens when you run is the torso is ahead of you. Remember, 68% of my body weight. So when you are pulling your foot, it's only 2%, so less impact. So the first thing you have to do is set yourself up for that positive benefit. So again, knees are bent, torso is lifted. Okay, then I'm going to take my hands and just pretend like there's a string on my wrist and lift my wrist. So this is called ready stance. Then I'll take this foot, and I'm going to use my hamstring to pull it. I should do this foot. I'll tell you why in a minute. To pull it to pose. So I'm using my hamstring to pull my foot up, and then I check. This is important. Remember, we're talking about the knee bend. I check that my knee is bent. And then again, lift my torso. So now I'm actually in that running pose. So again, it took quite a bit to get here, right? So this is called, what I like to call this thoughtful practice, mind-body practice, however you want to think about it, where you actually took the time to really make sure that your body was where it was supposed to be, right? We don't always have time to do this before a run. So if you can take 5 to 10 minutes and put this together where you're like, okay, I'm really focused on, I can feel my weight in the balls of my feet. My toes are free. My knees are free. Torso is lifted. By the way, this is how you should stand all the time. This is really how you should walk. So you're learning how you should always be holding your upper body and really how you should hold your line. So then you've got that and you're like, okay, I'm ready to practice my running pose. So we learn the action using the hamstring of the pull. And then we learn how to pull and hold. And all of these things take, it's time and it's repetition. So then you go from the pose to then you have to learn how to use your body weight to leave the ground, which is called rebounding or hopping. So then we work on, again, lifting the torso and feeling how it lifts your foot off the ground. So I'm not jumping because my knees are staying bent. I'm learning that using that lift of my torso takes my feet off the ground. I mean, it's a really great way to start to feel. And then you're like, okay, now I'm like, hold those elbows lifted, and you can feel the rebound. And what happens is then we start putting it all together. So like, okay, we know this is where we're supposed to be. We know this is our action. Now we've got the rebound. Now try pulling in place. All right, now you've got all of it going together. So then we start to work on things, and we do it really exaggerated. Again, this is all in the 3-2-1. It's all there for you. So I want you to go through it yourself, but keep in mind that we're just putting the foundation of running together. And when you do that as a practice, when you go to run, you're strong. You're strong in your position. You're strong in your lift. You understand your job is to pull your foot. So when you go to run, it makes a lot more sense what you're supposed to be doing. And then the one thing I talked about last time on the YouTube was acceleration and using gravity. And this is really neat because there's 3 elements of the gait cycle: the pose, the fall, and the pull. And then you're just right back in the pose. And you're just repeating that cycle over and over. So the better I get in my ready stance, in my pull, in holding my pose, in pulling my foot, then as soon as I get comfortable with the concept of free fall, then all I have to do is go fall and pull, and I'm running. And it's a lot of fun because if I go running with an understanding of how to run or what I'm supposed to be doing, it also gives you ways to self-correct. Like if you're out for a run, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really feeling my lower back. Think to yourself, am I lifted? Oh, see, that feels really different. Or I'm running and my hip starts to hurt, or my shin or my knee. And I'm like, oh, let me make sure that my shoulders are over my hips. And you might feel instantly something different, or even checking your feet. So you're like, well, my upper body feels really good. Let me just do a few pulls on each side and check in with my feet. It's amazing what happens to your run when you have a check-in. I always call it my toolbox. And I have so many runners, and they'll come back from a run and they'll be like, wow, you know, my right hip started to hurt, so I just reset my line, did a few hops, and got back into my run. I hear this all the time. And the idea is that when you know that there's a change in the line, that's a lot of times when something will flare up. So if you've been running a lot and either you have an injury, like, oh my gosh, my calf, my shin, my hip, you know, anything like that, or even on the other end, like, I'm not injured, Valerie, but I'm kind of stuck. You know, I'm stuck in a rut. You'd be amazed at how much just working on your line, your lift, your action of running, and then all the fun little drills. Like I like to do in our Zoom classes, which again are an hour long. I'm not going to take you through an hour. I'd love for you to join us though. Join us, and what happens is I'm coaching, but I'm watching you, correcting you in real time. And we have people that are running all kinds of distances, or I've never run, or I'm coming back to running. It doesn't matter. I'm only focused on you and your run. But everybody benefits from just working on their running position, just working on their ability to hold their line up. And again, I have all kinds of modifications. I've been working with people for 35 years. So we have every modification you need. You know, whether you're still like not able to put support on a leg or both legs, you're just getting back in. We have seated exercises, kneeling exercises, of course, standing with support. But the best part is when you start to work on the running. So a lot of times, like I'll post on social media like a little drill, right? And people see that and I think, okay, they might go out and try it, right? So, but if you're just trying a drill and you're not really understanding the why behind it, you're still going to get great benefit, by the way. You'll still get elasticity, you'll still get strength. But if you go to why you're doing the drills and there's intent behind them, there's a lot more reason for you to do them. So if you just try what I did today, just that ready stance, keeping the knees bent, holding your line up, and starting with hops and then pulls and then this, and then try it out on your run, you'll probably already feel a little different. So let me know if you do. Happy to hear. I really enjoy getting y'all's feedback and your comments. And just know I'm always happy to get questions and try to address them, and always go back to the real basics. You know, like if something's off in your run, Go back to that ready stance. Go back to that running pose, that pull, that rebound. And start to feel like maybe I'm missing some of that in my run. And again, you can always check out our membership on runrx.fit or just keep coming back and watching the videos on YouTube. Thank you, guys.